My name is Kenny Dial, and I want to welcome you to Season 3 of the Scuba Diving Podcast. Some instructors out there believe strongly, and you should train your open water students from a neutral position first. Even your skills, such as mask clearing, regulator removal, all the basics should be done from a neutral position. You should never do it on their knees. And their argument for that is that it's the law of primacy, which of course does weigh heavily on scuba diving, the law of primacy. But they're saying if you learn on your knees, then you never learn buoyancy. Right. And so a lot of people are saying, oh, it's lazy to teach people on their knees, get them off their knees. Therein sparks the argument.
Right. This is simple. This is not difficult for me. I coach, I teach. My kids are doing math right now. And we didn't start with calculus. Started with addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Then you go to algebra, and then you go to trigonometry. In anything, like when I'm teaching my football players, I teach them, for instance, defensive backs. I teach them to go for the near hip. But we're not having them hit the offensive players on the first time they're doing it because they're not going to remember, oh wait, I got to do the near hip thing. It's the same thing with, let's say, mask removal. If we're having them focus on their buoyancy first, then they're going to forget to do all the stuff they need to do with their mask. Now, I don't have a problem, understand, with people teaching like that. If that's what works for them, I am perfectly
I don't
fine
think
with
there's
that.
nothing wrong with doing that.
Right, but there's to say that the law of primacy is, oh, they're going to be on their knees the whole time. No, every class I have, we start like that. By the end of the class, nobody is on their knees.
Correct.
Everybody's got good buoyancy. Not perfect buoyancy, but they've got good buoyancy.
Well, I think that's where it's rooted, right? So, and we see this at the aquarium all the time. We see that there is a problem teaching buoyancy.
Yes.
The fact that there was a peak buoyancy class created is a testament to bad training.
Yes, that shouldn't exist. If that exists, then the training isn't being done.
Right. Now I've had a lot of people come and say that was the best thing ever for me.
Yeah, but you shouldn't need it.
Correct. The problem is there is a need.
Right.
And so I don't have a problem with the class. I actually think it's great for a lot of people.
Right.
But it should never have existed in the first place.
There shouldn't be a need for the class.
The need is created by very short classes, overworked, underpaid instructors.
Yep.
Big time. And finally, people are so focused on all the skills and the academics they're trying to front load in the beginning, they don't work on buoyancy.
Right.
As much as they should. The student shouldn't need a peak buoyancy. That's part of open water training.
Yeah, you're supposed to be signed off on that.
Right, and clearly that's not happening. We see it every night.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's prompting these people to say, I'm going to teach them neutral. And it's a fair thing, and I do believe there's value. It's coming from a good place initially until they start saying other instructors are lazy and so on.
Here's where I think there is some validity to it. With my kids, none of my kids had training wheels on their bike, right? I was talking to a bike shop and they said, look, we can get you training wheels, but honestly, if you put training wheels on, you've got to unlearn some stuff. And so there is something to that. However, that being said, you don't have to unlearn being on the bottom. There's been plenty of times when I've been diving and I've had to be on the bottom going after a lobster or helping someone out with something or getting a shell.
Inevitably, you're going to be on the bottom for something.
And so it's not a skill you have to unlearn in order to do buoyancy. They're both skills. It's not really a skill being on the bottom, but it's not something you have to unlearn like training wheels. Training wheels you literally have to unlearn because you don't learn to balance, and instead you learn to trust the training wheels. But that's not the same thing as...
Right. I think it's taking the law of primacy at a little too strong of the letter of the law, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's taking it a little too literally, like no one goes and says, hey, I know we're doing a drift dive on the wall, the Santa Rosa wall in Cozumel, and the bottom's 1,000 feet down.
Right.
But I need to clear my mask, so I need to find a bottom to get on my knees.
Yeah, nobody's
saying that.
No, nobody's saying that.
Yeah, and so I understand their frustration. We deal with it regularly.
I get the frustration.
But the ones that can do that, typically, they've set it up that way from the beginning, and it's a luxury to be able to do that.
Right.
You need a lot more time.
Not every student is going to... There are certain students who just take to it like a fish to water. Other students need more time, and they need to work on the individual skills and put them together.
They're so focused here, you have to eliminate all the other distractions, or I've had many would not have been able to get it if we didn't just focus on that.
Well, they usually end up on the surface.
Right.
If they're buoyant, they end up on the surface, and that can be dangerous because, especially if you're in like a 15-foot pool or something, what we were talking before, if they're holding their breath because their mask is off and all, then you are in a dangerous situation. And so having them start on the bottom, basically so that they can get their mask and they're comfortable with that, then do the buoyancy and then have them do it.
Right.
And if they can do it while they're neutrally buoyant, and they should be able to do it while they're neutrally buoyant.
By the end.
Yeah, by the end, absolutely.
That's where a lot of instructors are dropping the ball,
Right.
and that's what's triggering the people that are for it.
Correct.
I think for
I think that's reasonable.
And I've also noticed the majority I've seen, they're very good. They're tech divers. They usually do like law enforcement or military or something like that. The majority, not all. Therein, I think, lies the little bit of difference, because I've seen a lot of instructors for like fire departments and for police. You're training somebody that's typically a lot more confident than the people off the street that you do in a shop. We're
Right.
doing kids that don't want to be there, but the dad's making them, and now we just got to deal with it. The
Yeah.
spouse that's dragged in there that has no water comfort whatsoever.
Right.
You're not going to get them neutral at first.
If someone is getting trained to be on the sheriff's dive team, they want to be there and they're pumped to be there.
They're typically physically fit or
Right.
more fit.
Yeah.
And they're already at a certain age and a certain confidence, and usually have already done some stuff already.
Correct.
That's just a big difference I'm seeing that a lot of people don't really factor into that.
Right.
Anyway, so what's your position in one sentence on you should teach everyone from the beginning from a neutrally buoyant position?
In one sentence, I'd say that if you can do it, great, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with teaching someone on their knees as long as by the end of the class, you have them neutrally buoyant.
Bingo. Totally agree. Couldn't have said it better myself.
I know.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right. If you want to support my channel, go to sweetwaterscuba.com. We have all the good stuff like the shirts, the hats, the stickers, everything. Autographed kids books are on there, and wholesale opportunities for retailers. Don't forget, we're on almost every major channel, put out daily content, new stuff all the time. I'm on live all the time, so hopefully I'll see you on either TikTok, Kenny_Dial, Instagram, Sweetwater_Scuba, Facebook, just search me, or just search me in your browser, Kenny Dial. One of those should come up. Finally, the YouTube channel has all the podcasts and all of the short form stuff. It actually kind of has everything in one spot. Either way, I hope to see you on one of these apps, on one of these pages. Whatever connects us to the underwater world, I hope to see you there. Let's show the rest of the world the rest of the world.